Hey everyone, this is Michael out in Maui. Aloha. So today I wanted to talk on putting, on how to start getting your putts straight and in line. You want to start trying to get to where you putt north and south when you miss. You don't want to be missing, east and west, north and south. So you want to tighten up your east and west to where at least you clip the chains and miss compared to missing completely. So, in the earlier videos, we talked about throwing flat. So I recommend, if you haven't watched those videos on throwing flat and how to use your legs for a push putt, I recommend, going back and watching those, because those are very important. Those are, putting flat is the most important part of the whole putt. But for throwing straight, so the first thing for throwing straight that I've noticed is when you take your setup and your arm comes through for the putt, a lot of times we're crisscrossing from the right side of our face, being right-handed, so you're going from the right side of your face and you'll release on the left side of your face. So you're crisscrossing. You're coming across this way on the release. So you're here, your arm will come out over here, kind of like on that motion here. You can see I'm coming towards my hand here. I think that's pretty common. The arm's just a little bit of an angle like this. So that's kind of the one, that I've noticed for myself. It's always coming across. So the thing you need to do to get yourself on line is you need to put some tension in with your putt. You need body tension to hold your arm straight. I don't want my arm, when it comes up, I don't want my arm to turn. See, like how it's coming right up my side. And what happens a lot of times, instead of staying here and putting, you'll come up, and as you come back up, you'll crisscross across the line over to this side and putt. So you're here instead of here. So it's just like, like in basketball. When you take a shot with a basketball, you go right up over your face and shoot. But you have to have enough tension in your arm to bring your arm, right up in front of your face to make the shot. If you have, if you don't have any tension in your arm, you can't come up, have your arm fall over to the right over here, and then try to shoot, or have, when you come out to shoot, your arm comes over here, So when you're shooting a basketball, you have tension in your arm to come straight up in front of your face and make the shot. And that's what you have to do with the disc. You have to put enough tension in your arm to keep it on line to where you want to putt. So when you set up, so we're discussing, a push putt. So when you set up as your putt, and I want to come right off right here, I use the side of my body as my line gauge up to my face. So this is my putt is right here, So when I come down, my arm goes right to my side. And then when I come up, I don't want it to crisscross over here. You see how my hand's over here? I don't want it here. I want it to stay here. So I need to put enough tension to keep my arm here. So when you come down, you put enough tension. So now I want my disc to be on the right side, this side of my hand. So when I come down here, I want to keep tension so my arm comes right back here. Don't let it crisscross to this side like this. So to do that, you just got to concentrate. I like to use the side of my body as a guide. So come in, take your setup. You come down, I'm right on my side with my arm here. Then I want to think of my arm going right at the basket now. See? Don't let it pull over. So you come down, And when I come up, my arm comes straight up and out right here in front. So I want my disc right in front of my eyes. But you just got to hold it here and get that in front. So that's the first thing, is tension. You need some tension to keep the arm straight. You want to set your arm like we discussed before. You want to set your arm in the putting angle that you want also. You know, you don't want your disc to flop out like, you know, to a hyzer putt. So enough tension to hold it up, and then enough tension that when you come through, you know, you come forward. The other thing I've noticed with my own putting is that I won't fire my fingers straight at the basket sometimes. I'll take my setup, I'll come down, and then when I push forward, sometimes I'll notice I'll release the disc like that, and you can see how my hand is actually pointing to the left. You know, I'm pointing this way when I should be pointing, you know, towards the camera. So I notice sometimes I just don't fire my hand. So if you concentrate on the disc, think of throwing the disc and snap should be your thought. Because when you're set here and I come down, and when I come forward, if I think of the wrist, see, I'm gonna snap my fingers and have them facing down at the basket. So a lot of times, like I said, I'll come in and you'll get right here and you'll release it, and you just will have your hand facing left instead of straight. So you got to make sure you fire your wrist at the basket. So you come down, reach and fire, and they should be pointing at the basket. So the best way, you know, to get that to happen is to concentrate on the disc snap for the release. And then the third item that I've noticed, sometimes you'll come in and you'll be putting, and my arm will just get too far out in front. You know, it'll completely straighten, you know, my elbow. So I'll be here, and for some reason I'll get all the way out here, and I haven't even let go of the disc yet, you know. And then I kind of, you know, you'll sense it, but you'll be all the way out here with a straight arm, and then you'll just kind of let it go. And you always hit the top right of the basket. You know, you kind of catch that top right. So sometimes when I'm setting up and you come through, I've noticed that you need to release the disc before your elbow straightens, is kind of what you got to do. The elbow's like almost straight, and then your wrist will fire and then it straightens. So just before it straightens, so it's just like a backhand. When you throw your backhand, your elbow doesn't necessarily straighten the arm and then your wrist snap. There is a little bend just as you're releasing the disc. So like when you're coming through and you're here, the wrist is still bent a little bit, or the elbow's bent a little bit as you snap through. And that's kind of the way I look at my putt. You need a little bit of a bend on your elbow to get the disc to fire. So the other thing I like to do is when you take your setup, you know, I don't like to come with a straight arm down here. I like to leave it bent already, because this gets me to fire my disc at this height, waist to chest. So I like to have my arm here because that's kind of already at the waist, you know, that's the height I want. So I like to start with a bent elbow. So take your stance, little bend elbow, but when you come back, and then if you think of firing the wrist, so as the wrist is coming out and you fire it, you'll fire it just before the elbow straightens, and it'll give you more speed on the disc. You could snap it faster than if you have a straight arm. I mean, you could practice that or try it. Just straighten your arm and then, you know, try to throw. You know, you don't have anything on it, but if you have just a little bend, you'll notice you could snap it better. So when you take your setup, little bit of bend on the elbow, come in, and then as you fire out, it's right there, but you can see how there's a little bend in my arm still, and it'll allow you to snap your fingers better. So those are just a couple things that I've noticed that I do. You know, wrist is pointing to the left of the chains, and you know, you hit left. Arm too straight, you know, you hit top right. Try to throw, you know, a little bit of a bend so that way you can get a snap. You know, keep tension so you can come straight up your leg like this. I mean, it's just like that. I mean, if you're gonna shake hands with someone, you don't go, you know, you know, if their arm comes out straight, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to miss them. You know, it's the same thing. You know, it's just right here, straight. So, anyways, I hope some of those tips help on tightening up your throw. So anyways, this is Michael from out in Maui. Aloha.